particular topic is about refining your target market and getting your product positioning in place, especially if you've started to make changes to your business model in order to accommodate all the changes that we've had through, the pandemic and everything else. So that's kind of the thread that we've been taking through all of these sessions, and we'll continue on, is what changes do I need to be making in my business model to stay relevant and keep my business going. And so we talked about customer discovery, we've talked about the business model, and then this is taking that information and refining our target market and our product positioning.
I love this phrase by our founder, Felina Hansen. It's much easier to sell a painkiller than it is to sell a vitamin. And that's because people buy things to help them solve problems in their business. And what's really important, and for us to know and be able to identify exactly what problems our customers are having, and the type, and understanding how our solutions can help them solve those problems, and then taking it a step further. And so what benefit does that solution have for our customers in their businesses? So we're going to spend some time talking about how we can help identify the problems our clients are having, and then get to that bottom line benefit, which is really what we're selling. We're selling them a solution to their problems. So, and I hope by the end you'll see some techniques on how to do that.
And so what we're going to talk about today is these 4 points. The first thing is, who is your customer? And that's in 3 words. And if you want to mute, if you're taking notes, if you want to mute, that'd be great.
Sorry about that.
So, and then the second thing is to identify the problems that you're helping your customers solve. And again, what are the trigger points? What is the decision time? What is going to help them make that decision to purchase your product? And then the third thing really is, what benefits are people going to achieve by working with you? So if they've got a problem, you help them solve it. What is the really important benefit? Because you need to really focus on the benefit in your messaging rather than the features and functionality of your projects. There's a time to do that, but really what the customer is buying is a solution to their problem. So we want to think about that a little bit. And then we're going to help, there's a way to help develop a new positioning statement so that you can take, if you have a new target market now and you've changed your products and services up a little bit, then how are you going to position yourself and putting that statement together? So first of all, let's talk about the target market. So the most important thing is to be able to get really, really specific on who is your target customer. We all know that we all have all of these, have a broad range of things and services that we can provide, but who really is specifically your customer, and put that into 3 words. And now it's a very hard thing to do a lot of times, but it is a really great exercise to be able to take and try and narrow it down so that it really is hyper identifiable, so that you can say, okay, this is my target market in very narrow form. So I now know, I have to think about, where do I find those specific customers? So that's the first thing we always encourage people to do. And it's hard to get to that point. So if it doesn't come naturally right away, you just need to work with it and work on it, because it's it just evolves over time a lot of times, especially if you're going after somewhat of a new market now, and because your previous market, it doesn't exist anymore, or else has really evolved. In the blog I use the example of, people doing workshops in person before, and if they're taking them now online, then that's a very different thing, because now your target customer is really not restricted to geography and who can actually get to the particular session that you're holding at a certain date and time and location. Now you have a much broader pool of people to draw from that might be interested, because you're now might have a more national reach. So, but that's what first thing you need to think of. And then the next part is really identifying the problem that you have, that they have, that your target market has. And again, identify the trigger point that is going to make them be an impetus for them to say, I need to pay somebody to help me with this because I'm not able or don't want to do it myself. And I just like using a really simple chart like this, because you just can isolate 3 or 4 big problems that your clients have, prospective clients have, and identify the trigger point. Because you use that trigger point in terms later on down the road and identifying who are some of the strategic partners that are present with my client at the moment that they hit that decision-making trigger point. Because those could be good strategic partners for your business. And then, so as an example, what I'm sharing here is HeraHub's target market. It's in 2 words: female entrepreneurs. That's our target market. What their needs are is a professional, flexible workspace. I'm not going to read them all here. You can see them here. And it's hard going it alone, looking for accountability, those types of things. The trigger point is really what was happening at the time when they made a decision that I need a better workspace, I need a collaborative work community, because I'm tired of doing this on my own, and that sort of thing. So here's just some examples of somebody launching a new business, or, before, maybe somebody had a bad meeting where somebody overheard something while they were talking at a coffee shop, and that can always be embarrassing. So they're like, no, I really need to find a location where I can have a private meeting with my client. And so that's what I'm talking about when we talk about what are the problems and the needs, and then what's the pivotal moment and thing that needs to happen in order for them to make that buying decision. And so in order to do that, again, it's great to use another sort of graph like this, where you list the features of your products and your different services that you're providing, and really think about what is the customer benefit going to be for them. And it really needs to be, a lot of times when we think about benefits, I hear people talk about the features of their product. So I really like to encourage people to dig deeper and ask the so that question. So here's an example. The problem and the pain is isolation for women working from home with their own businesses. How we solve that, which is the feature, is we have a collaborative, inspiring workspace / community now, online community. That's the feature and the product. And then the benefit is the impact is they may gain confidence and be able to charge more and take on bigger clients because they feel more supported in a collaborative work community. They may find they're more productive working in a professional workspace. And they might have a better sense of purpose through their connections and just be happier in their work. Or they finally are making the kind of money and have the kind of business that they desire. So that's really the example of, of taking it from the problem to how of the features and products, benefits, and how we solve them, and then what is the real benefit. Because that's really when you're positioning your product, that's what's going to resonate most with your prospective clients, is what is the impact that is going to have on my business. So those are the exercises that you need to do and think about, so that then when you get to creating a new positioning statement for your business, you will have the components that you can put into. Now, this is not, going to be your elevator pitch, but it is going to be the foundation for the messaging that you will have for your business. So what you want to do with this exercise is go back to your target market that you've hopefully defined in 3 words and say 4 female entrepreneurs, and I'm just use Hera Hub as an example. Hera Hub DC offers professional workspace and collaborative work community in which in turn helps women build a more prosperous business. So you don't have to use this exact format, but when you're taking the time to really go through and think about your target market and how you're going to position yourself now, this is an exercise that really is a very valuable one. And it's challenging. I've done this with a lot of people through the launch program and through a strategic action planning session that I do. That's a day-long session, and it's challenging. So, find someone to do it with you if you'd like to do the exercise, and because I really think that that's really helpful. So also following that example too of the positioning statement is, this is a Hera Hub one for entrepreneurial women. Hera Hub offers a co-working space and business accelerator, which provides members with a professional, productive platform to build a prosperous business. So kind of in a nutshell, that's what we're about. Now a lot of it's online, but because the co-working piece, even though we have virtual co-working, that is our positioning statement, which really informs all of the messaging that we do. So, so that's the element. So the next thing that I just want to talk about real briefly, you'll have this as a reference, is these are the types of things that we do during our launch program. We really take each of these topics and really do a deep dive in conjunction with other women in the cohort, so that we get a great collaboration and community around supporting women going through the process of launching their business. And even right now, this could be a great program for people who are relaunching. Again, as I said, if you were doing online in-person workshops and now they're going online, you really want to kind of go back through the process of figuring all the stuff out with that new lens and your new products, because you'll find that really valuable. Because the thing that I think, and we've even been working with a Hera Hub, is initially we have things as a stopgap measure, a virtual co-working, our business boosters are online, we've got Feedback Friday, we've done a lot of different things. But now moving forward, we really have to be more intentional about our messaging and all of our collateral materials around what we really look like right now, and probably for the next several months. So I think everybody's business is going through that. So I've actually reorganized the way of doing the launch program. So it's every other week, 2-hour Zoom session with a phone call in between. We're starting on Monday, September 14th with the customer discovery piece. And then as needed, we'll end up having additional sessions. The one thing I really did change was the fact that instead of charging for the entire course, I really want to give people a chance to, take a topic and really work through it before they move on to the next topic. So we're going to have kind of a rolling sessions of each of these topics, so that people can kind of say, oh, I'm going to start with customer discovery now, and maybe next month I want to do the business model piece. So, and this is just a reflection of me trying to take a successful product that I had in person and make it more viable online. So, so there's also a link if you're interested in learning more about it. And then these are the upcoming sessions that we have through September 22nd. It's going to be all at the same time from 4 to 4:30, and we're going to talk about pricing next week. And then I also have a free mini course that where you can sign up. It's a series of emails that go through the same topic, because really all of these things are a process. It's all on a continuum. So just because you go through it, at one point in time in your business, you're usually always doing some pieces and parts of this along the way. So we put together a free email course that has these 6 topics in it as well. So, and then there's just my general contact information. Anybody wants to reach out to me and get more information. So thanks so much. So now I'm going to stop sharing, and looks like we are missing a few people, but I think it's a nice part about Zoom is you can record. But Paula, did you have any questions or anything? Because we still have some time left, and it might be, or Denise, it might be great to have to ask some direct questions if you have some.
I've encountered something like this before and working with business strategists, and so the general concept I think is really helpful. I think where I get tripped up sometimes is that I have different business objectives for different types of customers, and I try really hard to keep my marketing and messaging really clean and direct, but I find myself kind of getting tripped up on I'm solving this person's problem this way and this other person's problem a different way. And, what do I use as kind of my general statement about my business?
Yeah, so what is your business? What do you do?
So I do sexual harassment and toxic workplace prevention.
Mm-hmm.
And so my major clients, I administer every aspect of their harassment prevention program.
Mm-hmm.
And then for smaller groups of clients, I have a reporting app where employees or members of an organization report misconduct, and then I can take those reports and investigate them and inform the employer or leadership of the organization.
Wow, that's great work that you're doing. How long have you been doing it?
Well, I've had my consulting firm for a little over 4 years. But I was previously affiliated with a nonprofit called Workplace Fairness. And so I was kind of doing both for a bit. I was consulting for Workplace Fairness at the end, and then I completely left Workplace Fairness a year ago when my harassment side of my work had grown to the point where I just couldn't juggle that anymore. So, and then I'm an employment lawyer, and I've been doing, working in this field for almost 30 years now.
Wow. So you're very experienced. Right.
Yeah.
So you have gotten to a point in your business where you have a number of target, prospective target clients, but your messaging is really the same. It's really that you're really helping them, and think about it that way. It's not that the app and all those things that you're doing to help your smaller clients potentially is not necessarily, that's more of a feature or a product versus that type of solution you're trying to help them find with these organizations. You're helping them make a much, I'm just throwing out some ideas.
Yeah.
You're helping them always trying to provide better services for their employees to have a happier workplace.
Yeah.
You're helping the employer navigate difficult issues by bringing in a third party. And those types of big things don't necessarily change based upon whether you're working with a big company or a small company. So from the 30,000-foot view, those things are the same. You're helping them solve big problems around sexual harassment in the workplace so that they can have, happier employees. They can resolve issues before they come to a head, all of that stuff.
And prevent harassment,
Prevent harassment.
is
Yeah.
what we hope, that's what we're trying to prevent it from ever happening,
Right. So the training. So that's really the things that I think bind all of that together.
Okay.
For you. So you really have to think about those threads. And then the products are and features that you have, you just use those as tools to help them achieve their overall objective, is to prevent harassment in the workplace. So,
yeah, statement I use now, if I maybe just run it past you. Where did I go? I build harassment and toxic workplace prevention systems, which encourage reporting and deter retaliation.
so that, what's your so that?
So that people don't get harassed at work.
Well, that you can have a happy workforce. I mean, you can come up with a better thing, but that you can have you can be one of the top companies in the nation. Be on that list of great places to work. Yeah.
Well, I wanted to kind of step back from that in that this is something that should never happen. I mean, it's illegal. Right. And so I don't want to do it just because it makes the employees happy. They should be happy even if they're not, being harassed. You know what I mean? I want to step back from that and actually stop this harm in its tracks.
Yeah, so I think, so that the company can then do what? That's the question that you want. That's what you want to get to. And, and sometimes you have to go back, and the first element of this is customer rediscovery, and really talk to your customers that you have, that you've worked with successfully, and get their language.
Yeah.
You probably have testimonials. If you've been doing this, you have testimonials, probably have had conversations, you may have gotten emails really about the change of the culture of the company.
Yeah. Well, I think part of it comes from wanting to live their values. They're holding themselves out there progressive and this is harmful and they don't want to have it. And then if they have it, puts them at odds with their values.
Exactly. And that's something that's really important, because then once their company culture is aligned with their values, then that's where the organization itself is going to thrive. Because you're going to have a great work environment with all of the, and also the other thing right now, I think that there is so much desire for transparency from, I don't know what kind of companies you work with, but I think when people are making buying decisions now, and they hear about the companies that are saying all these great things and they do all of this wonderful stuff, and then they have this horrible thing occur on their watch.
Yeah. What's going on with Ellen's show,
Right.
Ellen was this person that everybody, just absolutely loved her values and loved everything she did. And all of a sudden we find out, and maybe she knew or maybe she didn't know, that still remains to be seen, but it's been said. And that's what we hear,
right.
That was a bad work environment and all these things were happening. So I look what you said earlier. It's like, I think part of what you do is to put those things in place to keep that from ever happening in that company.
Right. Yeah, that's more important to me than whether it's a happy company.
Right.
Just because it's like, the employer should look out for the employees. And of course I want them to have that, but I want to take a step back from that and say, no employee, I'm a worker advocate. That's where I, what I've been my whole career is I represent workers and sue employers. So, I want the workers to not have to go through that harm, which can, follow them for the rest of their life and the rest of their career.
Yeah, but
So part of what you offer is you offer this idea that you're proactive against that ever happening. And that, I mean, when you're selling your services to a company, it would be like, let's be proactive about this. Let's never get to a place where, someone's there suing you because you don't have these tools in place,
Or you have a company culture that isn't aligned with your value and mission. So, but you have to think about it a minute, and I get the fact that, and I appreciate the fact that you are the worker advocate, but you also have to frame it in a way that the company who's writing the check for you sees that as a real super benefit for them, because you know what workers, the pain that they go through and the issues that they have. And so they're hiring you because of your level of understanding and expertise in that area, so that that they know if they work with you, that they won't get to that point if they do work the process that you have in place. That's the next thing is really, and that's a business model piece when you think about your unique value proposition and why they should select you over someone else. And that piece is because you've been advocating for workers for your entire career. So you know what they need and how they need to feel in the workplace in order to, for them to feel safe and secure in the workplace. So.
Well, thank you for that. That's very helpful.
Is that helpful?
Someone new.
You got kind of like a little private lesson. Yeah. So, but no, I think that's great, and congratulations. Has the way you're doing your work, has that really dramatically changed? I mean, I guess if you're
not really at all.
Yeah.
I mean, I've worked remotely since 2001.
Yeah.
So, and my major client, I was already working remotely for, and their business is, their work is not really affected. Their finances are not affected by COVID. We'll put it that way. So,
well, what brought you to this session?
Well, I think I'm on the Women in Consulting list, and I went to a couple sessions of the summit. So then I just started getting these. I'm like, that looks interesting. And I intended to come a couple weeks back, and then I, got caught up in something I wasn't able to. So that's
great. That's great. And hopefully, as I tell people when I've done my launch program, or even when I talk to people that are taking my mini course, we know that this is always a process. You're never one and done figuring this stuff out, because things change and evolve. And the offerings that you have when you first started out, I don't know if you started with an app or not, or maybe that evolved because, so that's like a different thing. So we're always having to go back and reassess and reevaluate. And so that's always really important, I think.
Yeah. I mean, the app is about a year old at this point. And what happened kind of post Me Too is a bunch of companies kind of came into the space and created apps for this. And I had to assess what could be used for my purposes. A lot of the apps want to go directly to the employer instead of the third party, me. And so I had to find a company that would kind of work with my model. And
well, good for you.
And then, it took just a while to get it all set up, and then I got it set up with the client, and then COVID hit, and I had to do training and, kind of start using it. But it's been great. They've been using it for, I don't know, about 3 months now. And
well, good for you.
Small company, and I've got 9 reports. So, people are talking, people are using it.
Wow. Well, that's depending on how many employees there are, that would seem to me that there's a lot.
Yeah. Well, it's like 30 employees, and it's a startup that was created by merging two different
Mm,
firms, and so there's been some culture clash with the kind of
yeah.
the two firms coming together. But none of the problems are particularly atypical for firms in
Yeah.
this space or firms at this point in their development. I think like whoever I set it up with would have similar
Yeah.
types of issues.
Yeah. Yeah. But it's great that they have that as an opportunity.
Yeah.
Oh, here comes somebody.
Hi. Hi, Julie.
So I've got to run.
Yeah.
I've got something coming up, but thank you so much, and nice to meet you too, Denise. And
Nice to meet you,
thanks,
Paula.
for
Okay.
your help and advice.
Thanks. I'll stay on. Hi, Julie. How are you?
So sorry, I had the time wrong.
Well, the good news is I'm
You
recording.
recorded it.
I recorded it. Yeah.
You should
So
stop recording.
are you heading out too, Denise?
I said
And
you
you
should stop the
send it-
recording.
I'm
No,
so
I can edit it. I'm gonna
Okay,
edit
okay, I'm gonna say bye.
it. Okay, bye. Thank you.
darn.
That's
Okay,
all
well,
right. No worries. Now, are you the Julie through the meetup group?
yeah,
Okay, great.
yeah.
No, it's no worries. Yeah, I'll stop
wait.
recording now.
I'm in LA,
Oh, you're in LA. Okay.
see, right?
Yeah, I'm in DC. So,
No, I used to live in DC. I sure miss it.
oh, you do? Yeah. Well, but